first year because they couldn't get those caribou mated up with the existing herd. They turned them loose, and of course the transplanted caribou headed to the valley bottoms, and that's where the cougar were, and the cougar just picked them off. This is what prime caribou habitat looks like. This is what 50 years of our industrial logging has done. This was once all old-growth forest and prime old-growth forest. This is Downey Creek, 50 kilometers north of Revelstoke. We have converted these old-growth forests to early seral and plantation forests. Of course, early seral is brush species, and that attracts your moose, elk, and deer. And that's what brings in your predators. The moose is, its primary predator is wolves. So wolves will be wherever the moose are. And if caribou are in these small fragments, old-growth cut blocks, they're an easy take for wolves. But the caribou are just a bycatch of wolves. And that's why the government's wolf-killing program is so misguided. They're dealing with the true effect or true cause of the demise of caribou, our butchering of their low elevation habitat. Instead, it's cheaper for them to hire some sharpshooters and throw them in a helicopter to go out and shoot wolves. That way they can tell the population, oh yeah, we're spending a couple $1 million a year and we're still losing caribou. It's my opinion that they're deliberately doing this because once the caribou are gone off the landscape, then they can continue with their logging as usual. A wolf is capable, it can trot at 10K an hour all day long. So when you look at this network of clear cuts, they're all linked together with roads. We've made a prime hunting network for these wolves. They can cover that landscape in the day when they got a scent, they signal to the rest of their pack and they zero in on where they can do some hunting. Not only that, in the winter and our again for motorized recreation, we're going into prime caribou habitat. This basin used to have caribou in it, but this is what a weekend of sledding looks like. And on this, within 2 hours, an adult can walk on those tracks without any aids such as snowshoes or skis. Those tracks freeze in. They'll stay in the snowpack up to 2 to 3 weeks, depending on weather conditions. So they make prime predator access to winter mountain caribou habitat. And on top of it, the government allows the sledders to use grooming machines. Because the modern sleds and all their power after a weekend of sledding on a road is a washboard that you can hardly ride on. But with the groomers, they keep that trail packed flat. So these sleds can get 20 kilometers into the backcountry in an hour on these packed trails. So that gives them more time to run around and pack out caribou habitat in the high country. So instead of hiring sharpshooters, shouldn't we be getting these packers? Cost the government nothing to say, you can't pack the trails anymore. Okay, these are key habitat areas. No more sledding in them. But instead, no, it's let's shoot wolves and keep playing in the caribou habitat. That shows you how fast a wolf can move on a sled track. So there's some sad numbers of where our mountain caribou are at. I used 2008 as a starting point. It'd be even more dramatic if I went back to 1995, like the Central Selkirks in 1995 had 235 caribou. But why we use 2008 is 2008 was the first full year that the Mountain Caribou Recovery Implementation Plan was implemented in full force. And the first key or first goal of the implementation plan was to halt the decline of all herds of caribou in 10 years. Well, there's 10 years of caribou statistics. And you can see what a failure the Mountain Caribou Recovery Plan has been. There's only one herd, perhaps, that may be increasing. The Nkamaplu was once a majestic forest of old-growth cedar, but 35 kilometers of that valley has been clear-cut and is now either brush or plantation forests. The Nkamaplu, despite its rich biodiversity, was designated by government as a low biodiversity zone. That meant the largest clear cuts, the most waste, and the smallest leaf blocks. When you leave tons of waste on the ground, it means hot slash burns. And much of our forests depend on the mycelia and mycorrhiza that grow under the ground that we don't see. But when you do hot slash burns like that, everything gets destroyed and set back to zero. Once these forests are cut down, no generation of us will ever see a forest of that stature on those lands again. Many of these trees are 1,000 to 1,500 years old. And in the government's plan of 100-year rotations, we will never see trees getting a chance to grow that size. So that's why it's so important now. What we've identified are just remnant stands of what once was of big old-growth trees. And once we lose them, they're gone forever. No generation will ever see them again. These forests and the species they contain are part of the natural heritage of all Canadians. We urge you to join with us tonight and write letters of support, contact your MLA, contact the ministers, there's fact sheets there. Do whatever you can to put pressure on the politicians and let them know that you want an end to old growth cutting, you want caribou on our landscape. After all, we've had them on our 25-cent piece for the last 50 years. And we want this area, the Selkirk Mountain Caribou Park, protected fully. Thank you. Now I'll turn you over to Amber, and she will introduce Primeval.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming. So I've been working with the Valhalla Society for just over a year now, and I've become very passionately involved in this cause. So we're going to show you our short film, Primeval, now, and so lovely to have you all here. We're at a really important time in our campaign, actually, because we're going to be meeting with government very soon to talk about the park proposal. So what we need is to make a strong statement when we go into office by having many voices to back us on this cause. And by looking at the work of the Valhalla Society over the past 40 some odd years, what has really made change and allowed for the protection of some of these incredible wilderness areas is these letter campaigns. And so getting multiple voices in and showing that, you know, these BC residents, the taxpayers and the voters, that this is what we want and that we're demanding the protection of this ancient, incredible old-growth forest. So we've provided materials, if you guys would be so kind as to help us as we go into our meeting. We've provided materials for letter writing. And if you watch the film and you feel inspired, then please do see the addresses that we provided to the ministers and get your thoughts out on paper. And we've provided facts about the proposal to make it really easy for you. So send in letters, tell your friends, take some fact sheets with you, and we've also got petitions there if you guys want to collect signatures for us. Again, this is a super important time in the campaign for us, and I'm really optimistic. I know that everybody wants to help, and that we all want to see this area protected, but we need to make it known that that is what's important to us. So thank you so much, and enjoy the film.